Hi everyone, welcome to your next session in the 30-Day Inclusion Challenge with Involve. I'm Neha, you met me yesterday. Today I'm sitting down with Bobbi Pickard from BP and we are discussing and hopefully debunking common misconceptions about trans identities and the harmful ideas of stealth and deceit. So let me introduce you to Bobbi and she'll tell you why this is particularly important to her.
Hi, nice to meet everybody. Thanks Nia for inviting me on. Stealth, especially stealth, actually the term stealth is really harmful, I think, but the whole concept of stealth and passing when you talk about trans people and especially trans women is a really harmful concept because it's in its best case, passing means that you seem to have to reach some goal of being acceptable to society as a trans person, which is obviously not the best way to have to live your life. But as well as that, it's the more negative side, the more anti-trans descriptor of it, stealth, brings in all of that sort of nasty, sneaking horribleness that that trans people and especially trans women are supposedly doing when in actual fact, all we're trying to do is just be ourselves in society and get on with life. And really the pressure on passing in society is something that trans people are forced into to try and avoid abuse, whether that's through education, lack of education, or whether that's through straight out and out transphobia or anti-transgender behaviour. So both of the concepts are really troubling and something that personally I hate and I don't do myself if I can possibly do it, but the weight of society pushing down on trans people to conform is huge. So, I do find myself trying to minimize myself when I go out, and that's not what trans people should have to do. We should be able to celebrate and openly celebrate ourselves just like almost everybody else in society.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to name this session Living Authentically, because I think there's just such a misconception, such a misunderstanding that actually trans people are living their real authentic lives, and these ideas of stealth and deceit aren't even words that we should be using. That they shouldn't exist, and that just shouldn't be using them. So what are some of the ramifications then felt by the trans community when you're repeatedly told that choosing to live authentically is actually a manifestation of confusion or sometimes attempts to trick others, as this seems to be quite a pervasive thought?
It is. I mean, it's especially the trying to trick others thing is, I mean, that's straight out and out anti-transgender abusive behaviour. I mean, the wanting to trick other things is something that's been reinforced through film and media, whatever, over lots and lots of years, probably over 100 years now. But it's just not the case. That idea that trans people and both trans men and trans women experience this. I think trans women probably experience it to a larger degree. But the whole concept that trans people are doing this to trick people reinforces that anti-transgender narrative that we hear, that trans people are doing something sneaky and they're not to be trusted, and they're being themselves, being their authentic person for devious reasons, because they either are up to no good or they're up to some kind of abuse. And really, that fills the vacuum of quite a lot of ignorance in society around what transgender actually is and why trans people express themselves how they do. It fills that vacuum with that misdirection that trans people are expressing as they do, because, you know, for instance, they want to get into women's changing rooms to do something that's up to no good, or they want to, you know, trick people into sex, or all of those sort of kind of horrible, deviant, perverted type things that really are the messages that are coming from the anti-transgender groups to try and undermine the real story of what being transgender is, which is actually, you know, a perfectly natural variation in human development. And I'm just expressing myself in this way because that's what my mind's image is. You know, if I can make myself look like my mind's image, then I feel balanced, I feel fine, I feel part of the world. You know, I don't express like this for any other reason than, for me, it makes me feel good, it makes me feel confident, it makes me want to be alive, it makes me want to be part of the world, it makes me want to be interactive with society. You know, I'm not doing it for any other reason other than that.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful too that you said it makes you want to be alive. Like in the
Absolutely.
end, that's what everyone wants. And yeah, I thought that was what can we as non-transgender folk do to shatter this misconception and kind of push the boat out and pave the way for that much needed equality for trans communities, whether that's on a personal level, an organizational level? What sort of things would you like to see?
It's, you know, the challenge is the same as it is actually across the whole of diversity. There's different nuances for trans people and differently abled people and people of different ethnicities, but the whole challenge around diversity is the same, and it's educate yourself. You know, educate yourself personally, put education at the heart of your organization, because if we just understand even just the smallest basic level, then that just gives us just that bit of confidence just to be able to accept people as they are, whatever their diversity, and it just takes away the fear, and it just opens up the gate for more learning, and it opens up the gate for more acceptance, and it just opens that gate up to just being an ally to whatever diversity, to say it's fine, you know, I don't need to understand every nuance about you, I just support you as a person, you know, whatever your diversity, whatever your intersectionality. And that's what we need for transgender. You know, it's lots of the arguments around transgender. I mean, you know, most of the arguments are complete hypothetical rubbish personally. Well, actually, and factually as well, but all of those arguments fill a gap of ignorance in people, in societies, in organizations. So if we just fill that gap just a tiny bit with fact, an explanation on what transgender really is, then all of those arguments that are coming from anti-transgender areas, all that misdirection really gets light exposed onto its truth, you know, that it is just rubbish, you know. So that's what organizations need to do. They need to really stop talking about being inclusive and start doing inclusive. You know, it's fine to, I think talking about being inclusive is a really important first step. But actually it's a really quick and small first step. We can get over the talking about being inclusive in about 10 minutes and then start moving on to the years of work that are needed in organizations to make them properly inclusive for everybody, so everyone can flourish.
I think actually what you said about doing inclusive is so important. I feel like, you know, as you move through the 30-day inclusion challenge, as you're watching this video, please understand, I guess, that passive allyship no longer works. You know, saying that you're an ally or changing your corporate logo sometimes isn't all that you need to be doing to really be making the change that we need to see and making the world more inclusive. So with that in mind, when you do finish this lesson, we've put together a short workbook format. It's just a starting point for you. Please, go, like Bobbi said, educate yourselves, learn more, read more. So we've provided some films, books, podcasts for you to kind of begin your learning journey with. Note down 3 of your biggest takeaways from this session. And I think most importantly, with this session, set yourself a goal, commit to however small an action for yourself, and stick to it, commit to it, and do your part in making the world more inclusive, not just for trans people and trans communities, I guess, but broadly, like Bobbi said, for everyone. Let everyone flourish. So thank you for joining us, Bobbi. We really appreciate it. I've learned so much. I hope the people on this challenge have too. Thanks so much.
Complete pleasure always.
Amazing. Yes, go and check out the workbook. Bye, everyone.